welcome to Outlawed Thoughts episode 79. Moving along. We're getting up there almost to that
Ooh.
100th episode. I don't know what I'm going to do for that 100th episode. Whatever it's going to be, it's going to involve traveling somewhere, so.
Florida blowing hookers, baby, blowing hookers. Come on
I'm
down,
going to figure
Miami.
something out. I've been thinking about it. Now, I am joined here by a previous co-host of the show, Josh Hlavka from over in Florida. I didn't even realize you've got your @ there, and that says Florida in it, so that's actually perfect.
Yep. What's up, Leighton? How you been, bud?
I'm doing good. Good.
Good.
Had our convention over here in Alaska recently. I did get elected as the comms director for over here, or comms chair, I think is technically the position. And then, I got chosen as a delegate, so I'm going to DC.
Hey, I'll see you at my check-in booth.
Yeah, and I saw, you're with credentialing, I think. So it's like, it was like, oh, okay. And then I was reaching out to some people I thought would be worth talking to about convention stuff and just sort of everything that's happening and updates and all that. And so decided to shoot you a message. I saw a bunch of other Florida people are going to convention. So I saw like Pat's going to be there and other people from like that area. I know Toad's going, so I'm going to see him while I'm there.
I know every single person who's going.
Yeah,
Every single one. I got all of your names, and wouldn't you know it, I have all of your addresses too. I know where you live. I can come find you.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the great part about being up here in Alaska is, like, even if people know where I am, it's still a trek to come find me.
Hell yeah. Let me go hunt down. Let me go travel, like, literally 24 hours.
It's an expensive flight.
It is. I've looked it up late, and I know you've come down here a couple times, and that flight is not fucking cheap. I've looked at it. I've looked at it in off season. I've looked at it in season. I've looked at it in silly season. It is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, it's expensive. This DC one, this one was, even buying it early, I was out like $800, which is like rough.
I mean, I'll give it to you this way, if it makes you feel a little better. I'm choosing the drive because my round trip ticket, just for me, not even including my wife, was like $400.
Yeah, that's
from
fucking
Miami.
Ridiculous. From fucking Florida anywhere.
Yeah.
I should be able to fly in a Cessna from Florida to DC for less than $400.
You should be able to fly fucking like a private G5 for that much money from fucking Florida. Like, it's retarded how much it costs now. Man, I like it, that's the thing though. Like, the fucked up part is that same day I can get a flight in the Philly round trip, $80.
That's Seattle for here. We can fly anywhere in the U.S. and it costs an arm and a leg, but if you want to fly to Seattle or Vegas, it's like $100. It's fucking ridiculous.
Them government subsidies are definitely keeping these airlines fucking rolling. That's for damn sure.
Well, we're seeing that. Both my planes are Boeing, so 747.
Are you even gonna make it to convention? Are you gonna make it?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I don't touch down.
Ask your stewardess when you get on the plane if it's a DE&I built plane there, Leighton. If they say yes, just get the fuck off and just, I don't know, walk. Like, you're better
it's great.
off.
I'm flying Alaska Airlines, so if the Boeing doesn't scare you, the rest will.
Oh God. It's like the spirit of regional airlines, Alaska Airlines.
It's so crazy because Alaska Airlines for like the past since it existed has been lauded as like the best airline over like even in other people's polls. It gets brought up to be fucking as like one of the primary like third party examples of a good airline. And it's like they have completely shit the bed in the last 6 months to the point now they're just a meme. And I'm like, Ted Stevens has got to be fucking rolling over in his grave. He's like, Ted Stevens is the guy who sort of built their whole monolith, and he died, and he was a lobbyist in Alaska. He was a political guy himself, but he did do some good stuff. He just did a lot of nasty shit too. Yeah.
Ain't that politics sometimes though?
Yeah, one of those figures. Speaking of that, getting into more of that kind of stuff, we've got the convention coming up already. You are running for vice chair, correct?
Yes.
Am
Yes,
I
sir.
right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the list of people that I had in front of me, and I was reading through my delegate manual and all that crap over the last like 3 days. So it's been interesting. I'm also dealing with this absolute catastrophe on my end that is our Facebook account for the Alaska Libertarian Party. So that's been fun because trying to get access to an account and get in touch with Facebook support is a mess. It's a whole thing. So that's been fun. But I figured I would have some people on to interview them and general talk to them, just kind of bullshit really about some of the current stuff with the LP, sort of upcoming, obviously, races, and with somebody who's going to be running, obviously, for VC. I think it's important to talk about that at some point. So, I guess I'll start with, what's your take in general on the whole Trump, RFK, that whole thing? Because it's been interesting to see the Twitter back and forth. I haven't even made a single statement on it because I'm like, I found all the people arguing back and forth kind of dumb.
Oh man. So let me just start before we get started with that conversation real quick. Let me get in the right frame of mind real fast here.
Okay.
So our convention is very quickly turning into a literal or figurative South Park episode with all of this, is how I'm looking at it. Like, you got, this is just to the best of my knowledge. I want to preface by saying I don't have any exacts or certainties. I'm going off of the same probably rumors and innuendo that everybody else in the party is. But to my knowledge, Trump is going to speak on Saturday night. All the delegates and alternates that are credentialed for the convention get free automatic seating for these events. There's going to be a speech from RFK Friday night that they're having outside of the delegate hall. So if you want to avoid the security that's going to be required to go see RFK speak, you can just not go and avoid that fucking room and not deal with it. And then apparently Vivek's supposed to be
Do you not want to see Darth Sidious speak, though? I mean, it would be kind of cool.
I mean, I'm down to see all of them. Like, I already know to leave all of my, party favors and extracurriculars up in my room for this type of shit anyway. But like,
this is exactly the time I will take to disappear for 15 minutes and go get high.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'll go run to my car in the parking lot, go smoke, like go take 2 hits, and come back in and go see the show. But like,
it's the beauty of dab pins at events. I lie.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Dickie Walnuts knows he was at Tom Woods 2000.
Isn't DC a recreational like area too?
It's a weird thing. Outside of federal property, it is recreationally legal. Inside of federal property, it's back to being a crime again. So
I don't plan on going federal property.
Yeah, if you're not going to be traveling to like the, for instance, White House area, Capitol area, which I only have to do briefly, and I'll just leave my stuff in the room, so it's fine.
Bingo.
From a legal angle, plus I'm not all that concerned about it at the end of the day. I've lived under it being legal and illegal, so
right.
Never really gave a fuck.
It's my favorite thing when people are like, "Oh well, it's illegal there." I'm like, I don't give a fuck if it's been illegal my entire life, and I've been doing it anyway. Like, come and tell the cops, come and get me. Like, tell the police, come and take my ass.
I grew up with a household where it was like weed was just like any other, like it was like tea. Like it was just everywhere. Like from the time I was a kid up. So it was
never made weed a big deal. Like my family never made weed a big deal. But getting back on topic here, because we're going down the weed hole here. I mean, all of this shit's super interesting, man. Like, even if you don't like it, and like, I'm not a super big, huge fan of like, oh man, like Donald Trump coming in and speaking at a libertarian event, like, kind of weird, but like, cool. We're gonna get some press coverage. We're gonna get some positive media attention. Some people are gonna sign up and end up becoming members and donors off of seeing this. So there's positives, and you just gotta like for the people who are like, oh my god, this is so high, like it's really not all that bad.
One thing I think it certainly did was it forced the hand of the sort of the non-mainstream media, the sort of like the sort of outskirts of the media, the Tim Pools, the what is that guy's name? Patrick Bet Davids, those people who sort of alluded that they might be covering the convention now just because Trump's going, because it's sort of something that they can sort of cover as being this historical thing, which it is. And I think that's actually one of the things that I think is good about this, is that it
Mhm.
opens the door for it to happen in the future. And I think people don't, a lot of people on Twitter that are bitching about this, that I've seen talking about it, and to be perfectly honest, some of my own people on my own side of things in Alaska, I think are just missing the big picture. Because I've looked at the whole situation, I'm like, dude, you just don't go to their speeches. No one's asking you to go attend a Trump rally, and no one's asking you to go attend a Trump speech. No one's asking you to attend a RFK rally or Cornel West rally or a Afro Man rally. No one
I
wants you to. You don't have to attend any of this. It's all optional.
no,
And
but
most
like
of the delegates I know over here, like I did buy a ticket. In transparency, I put it on Twitter. I bought one of the $350 ones because I want to go to
Mhm.
the Dave Smith lunch. So I was like,
Right.
okay, I'll do that, and then I'll decide if I want to do the gala. Basically, that's the thing I'll pick.
Yeah.
Um, but my whole opinion on it is like I'm gonna be doing business and stuff too. So there's like, I wasn't worried about speeches and events and stuff as much as I was the actual stuff going on. I bought the
Yeah.
ticket more of just to have it if there's something I want to do. I already
Yeah.
have it set up, kind of thing. But if you're not getting the ticket, it's like then you're not gonna give a fuck anyway. Just go do your business and go find
A-
something else to do.
And that's the thing. All like the VBEC shit, the Trump shit, that's all free to the delegates. As long as you're credentialed and you're a delegate or an alternate, you're not having to pay for all that. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
lunches, you're really like that's just to cover the cost of like the hotel probably charging the party for food that
Hmm.
they're serving with the speaker. Like, and then whatever
Well,
the speaker.
even if they just get like an outside cater or something, in all those cases, people don't have any idea. As somebody who's got a father who owns a business that does food, it is fucking expensive to feed a lot of people, and like people don't realize how quick that adds up. And if you're not just getting served chicken strips and chicken and French fries, and you're getting actual food, or you're getting stuff that's like prepared, it gets a lot more expensive. So it's
Yeah.
like crazy. We did our convention, and it was an arm and a leg just to get catered like little platters of like fish and veggies and potatoes and stuff. It's like people don't realize how expensive that stuff gets.
Oh yeah, man. Like it. Like trust me. Like it's been one of the big like the food and beverage expenditure on our convention for the last like three
Sure, it's
probably years now.
bonkers.
It's always like it eats the most into our convention budget, and like we've actually come to the point pretty solidly, I would think, as a state affiliate where we all went. Maybe we don't need to do these hotels with these food and beverage like minimums that we need to do.
I've been
Maybe we should
telling
go somewhere else.
people, start doing cheap outdoor events. There's a reason like Porkfest and like some of these things are good at that. It's like you find campgrounds and shit. Like just rent out an entire. You can find like we were looking in like Panama City when me and Pat were driving to go see a football game,
Hmm.
which was fucking awesome. We went and saw a soccer game in Orlando and stuff, and I hadn't I've never been to live sports like that, so I
Oh
hadn't done
man.
that stuff. So it was a fun experience. We went and did that, and on the way we were looking at like, old campground spots and old church buildings and stuff that were clearly like either, open but like barely open or condemned and stuff, and I'm going, yeah, you could basically just pick a spot anywhere in these areas and rent it out for next to nothing, and they all have the infrastructure. You're just gonna have to show up and make it look pretty. But you'd have the space, and you'd save basically all your money. Like, so some of the states that, like, not necessarily you guys, but when I'm looking at like Alaska, there's a bunch of states I've been to that have small affiliates where they're like, you don't need to rent out like a giant space for like 20 people, 15 people. Like, it just doesn't seem necessary at all.
No.
Like,
Unless you have somebody who professionally does like small conferences or something that can like
or
get
you have
you
a
a deal.
deal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah.
that's the thing. We have a guy in our affiliate down here who literally he owns a business that's all he does is book like conferences of like 1,000 people or less. So
Well, it's the same
he
reason why I assume whenever I go to certain events in Florida, they always seem to be at the Gaylord. I assume that hotel gives people a deal of some kind, and so everybody seems to do their shit there, on with at least
it's
the bigger events.
yeah, like for something like the LPF though, like I'm sure like I'm talking with like one of my guys now who does like the conference stuff and he's like, "Yeah, you wanna do it in Fort Lauderdale?" He's like, "I'll find you a place and get it, like,
There you go.
for a damn
Yeah,
good price, and everybody will be happy with it." And he's like, "I guarantee." He's like, "I'll bet you I'll get it less than what you paid for that shit you did this year." So,
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
like, it's
I
always a
think
weird thing.
ultimately my outlook on the whole thing with the Trump RFK stuff has been a positive one, just because I looked at it exactly how you sort of explained it, which was good, which is like, you don't have to go to this. You can go do literally anything else. You can stare at your phone. You could show up and do what I think should probably be done, which I'd like to see done, which is, and I think Dave Smith pointed this out in one of his recent shows I was listening to. But I'd like to see sort of the libertarian contingency there to let him know when he says something good and let him know when he says something bad. And I think that's something we can do that other audiences previously wouldn't do for him. So I think that's something that's interesting where, yeah, you can cheer when the guy says something good and you can boo when he says something bad. And that's something that the guy doesn't normally get in crowds. So it would
No.
be, I think, beneficial to see that. And wouldn't it be better media attention? I'm just going to put this out there. If Donald Trump gets booed by a crowd of libertarians and walks off the stage, I'm like, yeah, the Republicans will hate us, but the media.
The media will love it. Uh-oh. Is it my internet or your internet? Did we lose Leighton?
A moment. Yeah.
I hear you now.
Can you hear me?
I can. I can see you again.
Okay. I'm not sure why. It's my Wi-Fi screwing up. It's probably because somebody's watching Netflix in the house.
Downloading gay porn. I see what you're doing over
Uh-huh.
there, Leighton.
I don't have my hard line, so I'm
Uh,
on I'm on shitternet. But yeah. Um I see it as a good thing. Basically, the crowd can give feedback, which I think is something he didn't have before. Same goes for RFK. I don't think he's gotten really, most of the time these politicians are in rooms of their people. So
yeah.
it would be nice if that room is a mix of people where you got libertarians in there that are willing to sort of give feedback. And I think that's something where his audience that we will have there won't have been exposed to that really either. And so
No.
that's good too, because then those people can go, hey, I kind of agree that these people had an issue with this topic he talked about. Maybe I should go talk to that booth over there or go conversate with one of those guys. And I think that's fucking awesome for us. That means members and money, and that's obviously what makes National tick. So,
Uh-huh.
um,
That's definitely what makes National tick according to everybody on the internet.
well, I mean, just as far as like being able to do things, you got to have money to be able to do things.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah,
that's
no, no, but just it's also I'm obviously I'm running for LNC vice chair, so it's kind of like a important position, and
yeah,
I see the criticisms of the current LNC, money's not coming in, members aren't coming in. Look at how quickly things could get. Let's see how quickly things turn around after convention.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is like you've got Okay, so that's a question for you. Let's talk
Okay.
about some more like race stuff then. Okay.
Oh,
We'll
race.
talk about
We're gonna talk about the blacks.
well, oh Jesus. Afro Man.
Afro Man. We're talking about
I
Afro
just
Man
had the
coming to
Afro
convention.
Man graphic on my screen, so I'm just thinking. You said
We're
race,
talking about
I'm
Afro
just
Man.
staring at this photo of Afro Man in the
is going to be
corner.
one of 4 black people at the national convention. I'm just kidding. There's going to be definitely more than 4 black people.
We'll
There's
have
going
at
to be
least
5.
7.
At least.
Okay, well,
Lucky
there we
7.
go.
It's funny because even the black people in the party, like, yeah, they're like, oh man, Afro Man showing up. There's going to be more than 2 of us now.
100% of the of black libertarians are anime fans, though. That is definitely the crossover I've noticed.
100% of white libertarians are anime fans.
This is also true, but
it's guaranteed that if you're a libertarian, you probably
I'm
like
a minority in that area.
Yes, you have to be physically removed from the non-anime contingent of the party. We're gonna hop you right out the fucking the rafflecopter.
Fire up the helicopters. Yeah. So you've got the chair race. I noticed a name on there from Florida, and so I figured I'd mention that.
Okay.
Who are you supporting for chair? And then obviously because you're running for vice chair, so in your perfect world, who are you going to be under? Are you more?
Am I more?
Well, no, go ahead. That's the
say,
question.
So I'll say this. All of them are going to have their pros and cons, whoever gets elected. I'll start with Rutherford because he's the one I know the least. I've never met the guy.
I heard that guy talk. That guy is boring as shit.
All I'm going to say is that I've never met the guy. I don't know him. I've never personally gotten to speak with him. I will say that I did meet his, I guess, liaison or advocate, Jeff Lyons, and
I've heard that name.
Yes. Mark.
I may have met him at some point or talked to him.
You probably have. And all I'm going to say is, Mark, if you are watching, it is in your best interest to never have Mark or Jeff Lyons advocate for you ever again. Every time he's talked to me, I have wanted to vote for you less and less for chair. And I think you're a great guy, honestly. I really do. He's an attorney as far as I'm aware in Illinois. He's been really successful in Indiana.
The conversation I saw.
Yeah,
he talks like that.
Yeah, the guy talks like a
That's
lawyer.
Not a bad thing. That's just I get along with some of those types.
And here's the thing with Mark. This is the positives on Mark is that he's going to remain pretty steady no matter how shaky things get. He knows a lot of people who probably have money, as well as he probably has a good. I'm not saying he's rich, but I'm saying he's probably doing okay for himself as an attorney. And I mean, the guy has a lot of professional experience in this type of shit. So it kind of works to his advantage. Now, moving away from Mark, Angela, Stephen, I both know. I both worked with in the past in different capacities. In Angela's case, I worked with her, while I was in the Mises caucus. And then, more recently, as we've been coming up closer on convention through the credentials committee, her being LNC chair, there's a lot of back and forth and discussion on things. Exactly. Stephen, I was his vice chair when he was the chair for the LPF 2 years ago. So we already have that dynamic of, I already know what he's going to kind of do as chair. I know how to kind of run with his vision plans. I know what his little idiosyncrasies are. I know how a meeting's going to be run by Stephen, whereas Angela, I haven't worked in that same capacity, but I also have worked close with Angela to know how she is as a professional, how she's going to react to things, where her, vision for the party is and where that path is going to go. So, I mean, all 3 of them have pros and cons. I don't really care. I kind of said this, and I mean this in, the best way possible, but I'm not going to be working with them as much as they're going to be working with me. And as long as all three of them can get along with me and, work in a positive manner, and we can kind of, you know, enact the vision that that everybody comes up with together in a positive manner. I don't really give a damn if it's Mark Rutherford, who might bore some people, but he knows how to get things done. It could be Angela, who's going to be very ambitious and very optimistic of the future and push for a very bold vision. It could be Steven, who's going to take a more professional, hands-on approach with things and kind of try and run the LNC like a business. So all three of
Right.
them, like I said, they have their pros. I'm not really belittling anybody who feels a certain way. As far as I'm concerned, I'm more concerned with how the LNC race is going to go, because it's going to have a direct impact on the VC race.
I agree with you. Yeah.
And I mean, and
That's.
you know why I'm saying this too, right, Leighton?
Yeah, but go ahead and you go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just for those who don't know, one of the VC candidates, I'll let them tell their own business, but one of the VC candidates in the three of us in the race, as far as announced so far, has already said that if one particular LNC chair wins the election, that they're not going to proceed with seeking the VC nomination. So, for all
Right.
intents and purposes, depending on how that race goes, it could end up as a 3 or 2-person race. So, it really, like,
Right.
I'm not really super concerned as much as, I'm concerned on how is this going to impact my race, so to speak.
Right. Right. Definitely. And I think that's probably what your brain should be. Um yeah, and I agree with sort of your points on all of them. I think there's parts of them I liked. I listened to a couple discussions that I could find of them all. Sort of one of them together I think was just recently done. I think it was done by Fight. I saw his Fight for Liberty, I think is his show. I saw
Yeah.
that episode. That was decent. And then I've seen some other some other shows where I saw Rutherford talking, and obviously I've seen plenty of interviews. I've met Steven. Um, I've met Angela briefly as well. I've spoken to her before, probably a dozen or so times. But um, so I'm definitely interested in getting to kind of see how that race goes. I have sort of my own supports in the back end so I look at and kind of looking over. I think as far as everything goes, I look at it as I don't, I'm sort of deciding between um definitely more Angela and Steven, just because Rutherford for me is like um not the kind of candidate I'm known to support. We'll put it that way. I like those types. I mean, I'm somebody who's making a documentary about somebody who was a lawyer and was sort of
Hmm.
had a tendency to talk in a similar way and kind of do a lot of them. And it is a professional thing. So, but I think at the same time, when I'm looking at that, I'm like, well, Steven kind of does that same thing. I think he can do the professional thing fine too. So,
Hmm.
um, I think I think there's a bunch of other random races, but I think they're just not getting any coverage because people are really just kind of covering, I think, the presidential election, the VC, and the chair races. But you got
Hmm.
all that other stuff that's going to be filled. I saw a bunch of other people that are in Florida's name was on there. I saw Robert over there in Robadob Flob, I believe was the
Yeah.
name I last used for him. Over there,
He's
over
running for
there.
LNC at large.
Rad. That's
Yeah.
yeah, cool. That'll be neat. And then I saw a bunch of other people. So it'll be interesting to see everybody at convention too. It'll be kind of a little mini party, I'm sure, on the sidelines. But I'll try to get together with the Florida people wherever they're at.
We might be sat with this whole weird seating
Yes, it
thing
is
that they're doing.
possible.
Yeah, it's very possible that if they mix it up, we could end up sitting close, if not next to each other. And I mean, I'm not saying that, there's going to be alcohol at the Florida delegation tables. I'm just saying that it has pretty been a well-known Florida tradition to have a few libations going around throughout the
I
convention
think
business.
every event I've gone to, whether it be Tom Woods 2000 or a YAL event, there has always been somebody from Florida there with alcohol. I
We
don't think
always
that
have
has
booze.
failed. So,
We
and
always have
I
booze.
literally ordered a flask for this trip because I was like, I don't want to be on convention floor slacking, not. And then I
Oh,
took an extra bag because I'm like, and then if I have just like leave my bag with the table because I'm like, I don't want to like. Otherwise, because I'm assuming they're gonna have like to go from regular area into whatever area they're gonna be doing those speeches. You're gonna have to full on like metal detect stuff or whatever. Like they're gonna
well,
have to
that's
do the
why
whole
they're not going to
shebang.
do. Yeah, that's why they're not doing all of this in the business room is because
Right.
they don't want to have us deal with all that. And I mean, not
Yeah.
for nothing, like I am notorious at libertarian events to just leave all my shit laying around out in the open
Yeah.
because I'm just like, I'm like, nobody's gonna
No, I
touch it.
brought a
Nobody's gonna
bag
take it.
for that. Like I was like, I'm just bringing a bag that I know will look different from everybody else and has like, like,
I think last national convention I left my laptop overnight, like at my seat at the delegate table, and it just sat there all night. Like nobody touched
yeah,
it. Nobody went in there. Like it's the good thing about LP and like libertarian events. Like if you leave your shit somewhere, you know it's not going to be touched. And if somebody does, 8 other people in the room before you can even notice it are going to say some shit.
yeah, yeah. No, definitely a good thing. It's yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm sure it'll all be insane on day of and all that. But I'm gonna be getting there. I get there because my flight is 13 and a half hours. So some people get their jaunty little 3 hour flights from fucking Middle America. You fucking self-righteous
Cocksuckers.
cocksuckers. I get my 13 and a half hour flight with a layover for an hour and a half. So that'll be fun. And then but I get over there on the 23rd at 11 a.m. So literally like just shortly after they've opened up credentialing stuff. So I'm going to go straight from the airport to the hotel, get dressed, go straight over to the convention and then get everything settled. So,
Yeah, I really like that credentials meeting is the like first real major event. So I mean, like we're gonna keep it open till 1 p.m. because that's the final window that everybody can kind of submit their final updates for delegate lists and credentialing and shit. And
right.
I'm probably just gonna order us food in there, and it's gonna be some. It's gonna also have like a Zoom link we're gonna send out soon. So if you're not like, I don't want to leave my room and come down to wherever the fuck this shit is, like you can just watch it on
Yeah.
Zoom and just
I I plan to I plan to my hope is to cuz I'm staying at the generator next door to the Hilton. So there's another hotel like right next door. So I'm
mhm.
gonna get dressed over there, and then I'll just walk over to the Hilton and see who's over there, like that. But I'll probably get there around like 12:30 noon, like about an hour after I land, because I think it's like a 12-hour cab ride, or not, a 12-mile cab ride rather, or
Yeah.
something. So
It might even actually be like faster if you're close to the subway. There's a subway line that pops up like a 5-minute walk from there. I stayed at that hotel in 2011 for another like convention I was at, and there's like a subway line right there because I rode it ended up
okay,
riding it to like a mall and then took it down to like go look at the White House real quick just to say I seen it in person. Like
I'll go
it,
check that out then. I'll
it,
look at routes and stuff because that'll
yeah,
save money too.
yeah, it's really like from what I understand, if you're flying into like Ronald Reagan International, there you should be able to get over. Apparently, it's like a 10-minute subway ride from the airport over to the where that hotel
Sweet,
is. So, if you can get
cool.
there, I would suggest it highly. It was easy enough for me, and there was not a lot of bums puking on there like it is in New York.
Yeah, I'll check that out. I've actually only ridden a subway once. They don't really exist in Alaska. We have trains, lots of trains, but
Oh yeah.
the subways are a bit different. The whole underground, above ground shit is
Yeah,
weird.
y'all don't really need subways. I mean, I've been
No.
in Philly and New York. Don't. I wouldn't suggest it.
This is a Bernard Getz situation waiting to happen.
It, it,
That's an
it,
old reference. I'm sure some people in the chat will get.
it is
Bernard
something waiting.
Getz is the subway, the guy the Joker movie was based off of. Great clips on the internet if you want some interesting stuff to watch. He was a guy who was riding the subway who was, I guess I'll say it this way, allegedly robbed by four individuals and emptied a 38 into him, and then was branded as like the New York vigilante, and that's who like a bunch of movie characters are based off. But the guy's fucking wild. Go watch like the police interview with Bernard Getz. Anybody who's listening to this and wants something crazy afterwards, it'll send you down a rabbit hole of oddities. Uh, yeah. So I think the convention's shaping up to be certainly one of the craziest ones we've had, just based off of the people showing up and just all the other stuff you've got. Um,
Mm-hmm.
these kind of new groups out there, and then you've got sort of, I mean, it's sort of weird. I know people talk about the haters and stuff like that, but they're all kind of gone. It's sort of funny, like other than Joshua Eagle, that little dweebish Frank Muniz clone, uh, retarded Frankie Muniz clone. That guy, other than him, there's nobody. I mean, there's Andy Craig, who I saw wrote some horseshit article. I actually wrote like a 3,000 page or 3,000 word response to that horseshit, but I never did anything with it. Because it's just not worth my time. Like none of these people really have any. Certainly don't have any people. It appears like I saw even today the CLC. They put up their like endorsements for candidates, right? And I looked at the responses on Twitter, and it's like it has no numbers. Like the thing just got no responses, and I'm like, this has been up for hours. Like, yeah, like I don't know. Like that's the kind of stuff I'm looking at and going. So
Uh-huh.
I just don't see any of the groups that I saw guff from, or um they don't seem to be there in force at all. So it's gonna be interesting because I don't see like even the people who are vocal about being anti-Trump speaking there, anti-RFK speaking there, uh, personally don't seem to really be people who are showing up to the convention. So it's like, well, why do you care? Like, you know, like,
Yeah.
which is weird.
That
But
that's but that's libertarians for you. They're gonna wanna give their
well,
opinion
yeah,
on everything.
for sure. I think there are gonna be some cool like other stuff. Obviously Afroman's doing a song. I saw there's five times August, I think is the guy's name. I've listened to a bunch of his stuff. Is doing the gala, I think. He's gonna play at the do songs at the gala, I think. But I was looking at a bunch of the scheduling stuff. It's always a mess. I'm also gonna go to, I think that's the night of the 23rd. I'm gonna go to the Dave Smith part of the Problem show, because he's gonna do like a live podcast, and I don't think I'm gonna do the stand up show. I might, but I'm definitely gonna do the live podcast because I'm assuming that'll be worthwhile. Because I listened to that podcast anyway, so
Yeah.
imagine it can't be any worse live. Happy Sunday night. Hey, Forrest Wally.
Hey.
Thanks for checking in. Yeah, it's been a decent night over here. We've got Mother's Day and all that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna go cook some kind of dinner for my grandmother and stuff here at the house and do all that stuff later here. It's only 6 here, so it's a little earlier than your side of things. I think I think I'm gonna have time to do a couple like weird things while I'm in DC. I'm gonna go check out a couple historical site things and maybe get some videos to record, but I'm gonna put that stuff after convention business stuff, so it'll be I'm not
Yeah.
prioritizing any of it. And I did order some new clothes and all that stuff. Gives me an excuse to get some horse shit. So all that. But it'll be interesting. This is my first national convention, so it'll be interesting to see how that whole process goes.
I'm so interested to see how much different it is than Reno was.
Yeah,
I'm
well, see, I don't get the gauge, but I did watch Reno, and like two of the delegates that are with me also went to Reno. So it'll be, I'll have some people to clue me in on what's different, what's not.
I just think it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like it's not going to be as contentious as everybody's making it out to be. And I hear the same thing because this is the second convention I'm going to, and is before that, the three before it that were televised I watched. So 2020, 2016, and 2012. And every time since I've joined the party back in 2013, 2012, I've heard the same thing over and over again. Is there's going to be a ton of credentialing challenges, and credentialing is going to take all day Friday, and then it ends up taking like an hour or two. So I mean,
Why
that's
don't you
honest.
you're here, and so I think that would be an interesting one. Why don't you break down like how do you guys credential people?
So it's really based on the state's bylaws and what determines them to be a qualify as like a delegate for that state. Like here in Florida, you have to be a member of the Libertarian Party of Florida. So that means you have to be a registered voter, you have to go online, sign the NAP pledge, join the LPF, and then once all that clears, you can be a delegate. And a lot of people, this is all done in advance because they're doing this pre our state convention. For some other states, like I'm just going to pick a random one out of the bucket here. Hawaii is a great example. Hawaii's bylaws allow it that anybody who's a member of the party or who's ever basically, if they're a member of the party, they can qualify to be a delegate in Hawaii.
That's how Alaska is as well.
Yeah. So if hypothetically, if I didn't become a delegate in Florida for some reason,
We
I
have a
could go.
delegate sat as an alternate right now who is not residing in Alaska.
Oh, and that's honestly, I see that so much in the alternate list
Right.
is because a lot of states have that available to them that they can't see delegates until convention, but they can make them alternates in advance. And
Yep.
then up when they don't fill their delegate slots, okay, this guy's an alternate. He can
Right.
come in and fill the slot. So, like, it's really just credentialing to verify that, hey, if you came in from whatever state you came in on the list, do you qualify to be on that state's delegate list? So that's really what the credentials committee does. We get the list from the state chairs. We go in and use the different resources the LNC and the LP gives us, and is available to the LP to look up and verify. Hey, does Josh Hlavka qualify to be a delegate from the state of Florida? Does Leighton Radner over here qualify to be a delegate from the state of Alaska? Does Forest Mommy qualify to be a delegate from the state of Colorado? If the answer is yes, they're approved and there's no issue. If it's not, I got to go back, or whoever the committee rep is, to the state chair for that and go, hey, this person doesn't qualify. Either you need to present me something that verifies that they do meet your requirements based on your bylaws, or we're going to have to remove them from the list. And a lot of times the state chairs go, hey, I don't got nothing, remove them from the list. Or they go, hey, I definitely got this. Let me send it to you. Like I've had it a couple times where I had to verify people, couldn't find the verification, reached out to the chair, and usually in a 20, 30 minutes, I'm like, nope, here it is right here, dude. Awesome. Thanks.
Right.
Boom. Simple. Like a lot of the
Yeah,
challenges come.
it seems like people are making it a bigger deal than it is because I mean, I'm sure there are people who are naturally going to screw up, but the reality is like I mean, I sent my address in, I sent my name in, like that was basically the extent of it. I know I'm a
Yeah.
member. I re-upped my national membership just to make sure.
Yeah.
Uh and I know I'm a state member, so it's like I did everything I was supposed to do. Like if
Yeah.
everybody else can't do that, I don't know what the problem is.
And I mean, there's some places where, like, kind of like you said, I don't want to say, anything is, there's any malice in anything going on. Some people just, I hate to say it, Karen Ann put it out there, and a lot of people took it in a very negative aspect, but she is right when she said that a lot of states' bylaws are absolute fucking garbage. You
Oh,
want to know why?
Alaska's one of them. Our bylaws have big issues.
And I mean, I'll say this as somebody who's read a numerous amount of bylaws from so many different, basically every state and region too. I've read your bylaws at least once. The bylaws for Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Delaware, I've read. Michigan, read. Hawaii, read. California, I've read definitely over 2/3 of the country's like state affiliates bylaws. A lot of y'all bylaws are god awful. Like they're less than worthless. If we actually like we learned the hard way in the state of Florida that the bylaws are a contract between the organization and the membership. They are legally binding. Like the LPF way back in the day got taken to court by a member because we violated the bylaws, and the courts actually told us, no, you are bound by this. It's a contractual obligation. You have to abide by your obligation. This is what, this is all part of your obligation to your membership, who is part of the organization. So, I mean, a lot of people really, do need to do some soul searching. At the same time, Leighton, you're right. A lot of people are making this out to be more than it has to be. We're just looking to make sure, hey, that people do things right. We had a situation, we got a whole alternate list we're going to have to throw out because it violated the bylaws. Unless the chair comes back to me and shows me, hey, I have updated bylaws that shows this is all legal. It's not really that hard to argue. It's very cut and dry shit. People are making this way bigger than it is. And I think, honestly, a lot of the overinflation of the credential committee, like microscope, is just that there's a lot of pressure from all sides. There's media coming in. I'm sure there's inquiries. People want to get interviewed. They want to make sure shit goes right because we don't want to show our ass when we have fucking CNN and Fox News covering our convention along with C-SPAN. Like, who watches C-SPAN, Leighton? Old people. Old people, like your grandma, my grandma, they watch C-SPAN. Like our parents' generation, they're the ones who are going to be watching CNN and Fox News, and those are the ones who are, kind of going to be more likely to convert over this election cycle. Is that age group? So, we want to make sure that we look like we're actually professionals and not like we're a bunch of like crack smoking retards.
Yeah, or guys dancing naked on a stage,
I can make no promises to that one.
I did say last year or last convention I was willing to sumo wrestle Walden titties in the parking lot. We could move one of those events to the stage. I'm just saying.
You mean if I came out in like the full like Wild Boys Chris Pontius party boy outfit with the old school boombox?
Dude,
you don't think
perfect.
that would be professional? Just like, God. Oh man, I'm here. Like, I heard this was a libertarian party.
Genuine, come out to Genuine.
I'm here to party. Just bring it back to like 2002 real quick. Just party boy on everybody.
I do think it'll be I'm sure there'll be plenty of moments at the convention as far as that stuff goes, but I think for the most part, I don't see a lot of people showing up that are problem people as far as my concerns go. It just seems those people mostly disappeared, and if they are going to be there, they're going to be there in a very small way. So I'm not super worried about that, and it's just been a lot of like planning and looking at stuff on my end, and I'm excited for some of it. Sure.
You know what I'm excited for? Trey Parker going to be there.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I wonder how serious he is about this VP run. Because if he actually files with the FEC, I mean, I'd be willing to nominate him. That'd be interesting.
So it's funny. I met, and this was forever ago, at a motel in Alaska, a bunch of South Park people, and I was young. I was maybe like 13, and for the life of me I can't remember who it was that I met, but I know that it was one of either Matt Stone or Trey Parker, but I don't know which one it was, and it was like them and some other South Park people, like production people, and they were just eating breakfast in a hotel in Alaska. And I went up and said hi to him because I knew who it
Yeah.
was, but I just like because my dad was there and other people were there, but I just didn't. I never found out which one of them it was.
Well,
But I
apparently
met one of them.
he's gonna be there. I'm honestly more interested to see what that South Park episode is gonna look like in a year from now when they finally produce it. I've
What?
already said like, hey man, if you're gonna put me on, like, you make a caricature of me on there, don't give somebody like a voice actor to poorly impersonate me. I'll do all of the voice acting for free if you're gonna put me out there. Just let me at least represent myself and give myself my own voice.
Oh God,
Could
yes.
you, dude, with how like exaggerated they do shit? Just try to imagine how some of the fucking personalities in the party are going to be represented. Oh man, Angela, Karen
I
Ann.
Karen Ann would be the funniest. Oh
The
Jesus
Karen is
Christ.
absolutely going to be the funniest South Park character I've ever seen, and the fact she's from Colorado is going to make it even better because they're going to add extra emphasis on the Karen Ann.
Yeah. Oh, it's a funny. I think yeah, I think you've got I saw him for VP. I think the other one
My
is
boy Tub.
yeah, uh-huh. I saw him as a Clint Russell. I think
Yeah,
he's
Clint.
running. Um I don't know anybody else. I think those are the
Larry
only three
Sharp.
that I Larry Sharp, that was it.
Yeah, it's Larry
It's
Sharp too.
actually a there's some good people in there. It's good. That's going to be an interesting race, I think. Um
So what do you think about Larry Sharp coming in?
I like Larry Sharp to a degree. I think I don't know. To be honest with you, with a lot of the national stuff, I think of it as sort of from an Alaska centric point first. But I think with the VP pick, it's more of just a messenger. So it's
Hmm.
like who's better at that. Um, and I think Larry's proven himself to be pretty good at that, like to a degree. I do think he's had some slip ups, but I think everybody has that. So I don't hold that shit against him. I do think they have a debate. There is a VP debate, I believe, correct?
Hmm.
Right. So that will be, I think, honestly, and I think that's you're going to find that with a couple different positions, but I think that VP debate is probably where most people are going to decide because I don't see a strong sentiment for VP from anywhere. There's not like one candidate who's getting like all the support, at least not from my perspective.
No, and quite frankly, I've actually talked to a lot of people who have been feeling more strongly that like, hey, if I don't see this person being the POTUS candidate, but I definitely want them to be the VP if especially if my guy
Right.
gets elected. I've
Well,
heard
and
that
there's
with.
also the fact that, and people are forgetting this, there is the chance that somebody gets nominated from the floor. That is always
Hmm.
a possibility. I think people are missing the forest with the trees for that for president, too, because, I mean, I'll be perfectly honest with you. If you think that somebody isn't going to nominate Dave just to have him say no, I guarantee you he will end up nominated. Like,
Well, here's the thing that a lot of people do forget because they don't read our national bylaws is that they have to get 30 petition. Like now we
right,
use a token system, so they have to get 30 tokens. So that's 30 unique delegates. Every delegate gets one token for the POTUS race. So you have to get 30 people to give up, and you probably can for Dave Smith. I'm not saying this is enough, but what I'm saying is that if you're going to nominate somebody from the floor, everybody has to keep in mind that you have to find 30 delegates who haven't already pledged their tokens to a particular candidate to give their tokens up to this candidate. It's the same thing I say with like anybody talking to me for
right.
anybody getting in at this point is that you
Yep.
have to find 30 people who may already have settled on a candidate and go, yeah, I'll give my token to you instead because I think you're better.
And so knowing that, I think it's going to be interesting to see. We'll see if there's anybody who gets 30. I think Dave, it's possible. I think there's also like for other races, it's possible. I mean that somebody kind of comes
Okay,
out of the woodwork, but
the big six, right? Because we got Josh, Termont, Rechtenwald, Chase, Lars, and Hornberger. I'll keep Hermberger in there, even though I don't even really know if he's big anymore. But the big
Yeah.
six for the LP right now. Who do you think won't get 30 tokens out of those six?
Oh, you want? Oh, that's an interesting question, actually. I don't think Chase is going to perform well at all. And I'll predict that off the bat because I think the guy, he showed up to Alaska in person and still got like 4th place in our straw poll. He was the only candidate who came here in person. And we're not like a Mises state. We're not like none of that. So it was like, I think he's, I don't think he's, I don't think he fills the position well. And I think people see through it. So I think he's actually sort of, and when you see people like, for the instance, the CLC, they didn't endorse him. They endorsed a different candidate from what I was seeing. They endorsed
No, they did.
Lars. Yeah.
No, they endorsed Chase. Chase, like for the CLC poll, he overwhelmingly won it, and
Oh,
then
okay.
Mike and Lars actually came in tied for second with 45%. And
Right, which is what I've been seeing. And
yeah, and apparently the CLC was only endorsing candidates that got over 50%. So Chase is their endorsed
yeah.
LP. So he's gonna get 30 tokens. Like I don't
Yeah,
think
he's no, I'm not saying he's one of the ones
Hornberger
that's
ain't
not going to
getting
get 30
30
tokens,
tokens.
but I think Hornberger's out. I think it's
Toad's not
possible
getting 30
Lars is
tokens.
out. And I
No,
think the reason
Lars is 100% getting 30 tokens.
I think Lars has spent a lot of money, but when I talk to people in private, and like not on record about that guy, people are interested in some of the ideas he has. The problem he has is like his business and history and stuff that people just do not like in private, especially up here in Alaska where you've got like conservative types where you're
Yeah, no,
like,
I got
yeah, they
like
Google him and they're like, nah, I'm good. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, well, yeah, it is what it
yeah.
is. Um,
I
but
have my
I th-
personal feelings about
I
Lars.
think yeah, I don't know. It's possible that Josh doesn't make it, but I don't know. We'll see about that. I think he has enough support,
He'll
but
get 30 tokens. He'll
yeah,
definitely get
I don't
30.
think there's anybody other than um Fed Boy. What's his fucking name? You just mentioned him earlier. The big guy with the big glasses from oh, fuck me. I'm forgetting his name. Uh
Big glasses from what state?
I'm I'm blanking completely. He's one of the presidential Hornberger.
Oh,
Uh Hornberger, I don't see him getting 30.
no,
I just don't see the support for him. There's just nobody who's asking for him to like, and I don't think he's won any straw polls that I've seen.
no.
At least not that I've witnessed. So, yeah, I don't know if he's gonna make the thresholds. But I mean, my guess is your top 6 is gonna get cut down to like 4 or 5. It's not gonna be this big culling.
No, yeah, I think it's going to be 4 or 5. If somebody does try to hop in at the very last minute, this person is going to have to be a overwhelmingly either big influential name within the party or is going to have to be somebody who makes Lars Bank look like fucking like a kiddie pool.
Yeah, it's either gotta be some huge famous figure or it's gotta be like Dave Smith. That's basically my perspective on it. Like, you're the only person who I think would get enough people, 30 people who even know who they are on the floor that isn't either famous or Dave, is those. Like, you're gonna need a celebrity or you're gonna need somebody who's known by everybody in the party. Which
Kanye for
there's not.
president?
Yeah, there's not many
Kanye for
people.
LP POTUS?
Mhm.
Who else could?
Oh shit, that would be hilarious to have Trey Parker as his VP.
Yep.
That would be the funniest
Have Donald
timeline.
Trump introduce him?
Oh god damn it. Oh shit. Ah, the Weasel timeline. This is the Weasel timeline. We have a gay fish running for office with Trey Parker as his VP.
Oh my god. Fucking see, we're appealing to the LGBTQ 12, 16, 24 community.
The A12 community or the A24 community.
The fucking alphabet soup community.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. All these little races people don't realize that are gonna all have their own individual dramas, own individual shit to start. It'll be all fun. All
This
that
is yeah,
stuff's
exactly.
that's the
It's
fun part of politics,
uh-huh.
people. Get used to it. If you don't like that shit, then you probably need to like do fundraising. I don't know. Find something else.
Politics is like professional wrestling for like weird autists. That's honestly what
It's
it is.
literally what it is. It's
Like
by definition. And by the way, the Democrats and Republicans are doing the same shit.
same shit.
It's
Exact same.
identical. I've been
Literally,
to
and
their
they're more
caucuses
violent.
too.
They're more
Oh yeah.
violent. Like I love how like everybody in the party is like, oh, there's so much infighting. That's the problem with the party. Like, bro, have you ever been to a Republican event? Have you ever been to a Democrat? Like these motherfuckers, like you think we fight? Like we call each other mean names on Twitter. These people will literally burn each other houses down. They've murdered
Dude, they're
their
like
fucking family
they're
pets.
doxing each other to the point where they have events
Yeah,
shut down every time they try to have one. It's fucking
yeah,
wild. Like
fucking kids
they're
getting
eating their
fucking
own constantly.
absolutely like our shit. Like literally, I had a Republican like operative who came to one of our like conventions, and he had been a Republican delegate to one of their state conventions, and he had said to us, he's like, man, I always see online you guys talk about how much you guys fight with each other, but then like I come here and it's so tame. Like he's like, literally our last convention there was a fist fight on the floor over an argument, like over a motion argument. He's like, you guys are just yelling at each other sometimes and getting testy. Like he's like, if we ran it like this, dude, we would definitely mop the floor with you guys every year. I'm like, but that's the reality. Like, we're not actually like everybody makes this shit worse than it is to be. We're not doing that bad. Things are never like shit can always be better than it is, but shit's never as bad as it seems. Like, people just bitch too much.
Agreed. All right. Well, I think we've done like an hour and 15. I know it's Mother's Day, so I'm sure you're going to have stuff to do too. And it's, but
Yeah, mothers.
yes, I am going to go ahead and close things out here, I think. I think we're good. And you've got plugs obviously over you're on Twitter at Hlavka for Florida, and that's right there on screen. And then do you have anything else you want to plug?
Credentials committee meeting tomorrow, first public one. If y'all want to come see the sausage get made and see how it's done. I'm gonna be, like I said, I'm running for LNC vice chair, so please, consider electing me and at least consider making me your second choice in case it's still a 3-person race. And hey, come check us out. I'm trying to get back in with Swamp Creatures. We're on Looks like Tuesday nights now, so come stop by, come check us out, be it in Swampy, and
we'll have some Swamp Creatures in DC, so maybe I'll have to get some kind of show together or something while I'm over there.
And that's what I'm saying. Everybody, if you're not going to DC and you're a libertarian, I don't know why not. This is literally the most exciting event in libertarian history that, as far as I've been around the party, and
you got nothing else to do.
No, you like. When are you going to come in and get a free shot at seeing a former sitting president speak? Very popular, presidential hopeful once upon a time get to see a Kennedy talk to us and bring his brainworm with him too. Like, you're getting a whole lot. You got one of the creators of South Park coming. You got a guy who may or may not be a time traveler. You got several really great LP like POTUS candidates. And you got a bunch of cool ass people coming in who are probably going to have booze and fucking drugs. Like, why wouldn't you want to be there?
Precisely. I think that's a great pitch. So definitely go get signed up to go to that. And come see me and Josh over in DC. Come hang out. Ask me about Joe Vogler while you're there.
Definitely ask Leighton about Joe Vogler. He will tell you all about Vogler.
All right. Well, everybody have a nice night. Take it easy. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms that might be watching, and take it easy. Peace.
Night, guys.